The alien origin of humanity. Were we created to serve? What if everything we know about our origins is a lie? In this video, we will unwrap some of the most popular and seemingly unbelievable theories about our origins, alien origins. This is for entertainment purposes only, but that doesn't mean that it's untrue if unproven. Before we do, please subscribe and comment below what you believe about our origins, and if aliens are involved in humanity's creation. What if the story of evolution, the slow, gradual ascent from ape to man, is only part of the truth? And what if the missing pieces of our history, the stories of gods descending from the heavens, of ancient beings bestowing knowledge, of sudden leaps in intelligence, aren't myths at all? What if they are evidence? Because across cultures, across time, across civilizations, long before they could have communicated with one another, the same bizarre tale repeats itself. The gods came from the sky. The gods altered mankind. The gods ruled over us. And then one day, they disappeared. But did they? Or are they still here, watching, manipulating, pulling the strings of our reality from behind the curtain? This is the forbidden history, a story hidden in ancient texts, whispered in secret societies, and feared by those who control the world today. Are you ready to learn the truth? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Chapter 1. The Anunnaki, gods, aliens, or slave masters. To understand where we came from, we must go back to the oldest civilization we know of, Sumer. Sumer was a mystery of its own. One day, there was nothing but scattered hunter-gatherers. Then, suddenly, around 4500 BC, an advanced civilization appeared out of nowhere. They had writing, mathematics, astronomy, law, agriculture, irrigation, architecture, and a highly structured society. But according to their own records, they didn't create any of it. They were given it by gods who descended from the sky, the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were described as tall, humanoid beings with immense power, supernatural knowledge, and a particular obsession: gold. Not gold for currency, not for wealth, for survival. The Sumerians wrote that the Anunnaki came from a planet called Nibiru, which they said had an elliptical orbit around our sun, only passing through our solar system every 3,600 years. Nibiru, according to these records, had a failing atmosphere, and the only way to repair it was with particles of suspended gold, which had the ability to reflect radiation and maintain stability. And so the Anunnaki came to Earth, a planet rich in gold, to mine it. But mining is hard work, even for gods, so they needed workers. And what better way to build a workforce than to engineer one? According to ancient texts like the Atrahasis, Enki, an Anunnaki scientist, and Ninhursag, a high priestess, spliced their own DNA with that of early hominids to create a hybrid species. A species that was smart enough to obey, strong enough to work, but not intelligent enough to rebel. The result? Us, Homo sapiens. The perfect balance of subservience and intelligence. For centuries, humans mined gold under the watchful eyes of their extraterrestrial overlords, believing them to be gods. But then something happened. The humans began to evolve beyond their programming. They learned too much. They became too self-aware. And some of the Anunnaki didn't like that, so they erased us. This is where the Great Flood enters the story. The Bible, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and Sumerian tablets all describe a time when humanity was nearly wiped out by a great deluge. But why? Because the Anunnaki wanted a reset. Too many humans had become self-sufficient. They no longer needed their masters. But not all the Anunnaki agreed with the plan. Enki, the same scientist who created us, warned one human. That human was Utnapishtim in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the same character that later became Noah in the Bible. He built a boat, survived the flood, and ensured that humanity lived on. But the Anunnaki had lost control, and so they vanished. Or at least, that's what we're supposed to believe. Chapter 2. The Greys, abductions, experiments, and DNA harvesting. The Anunnaki weren't the only ones interested in playing God with human genetics. Thousands of years after their disappearance, a new kind of visitor arrived, one colder, more clinical, and far more unsettling. The Greys, small, humanoid, with oversized heads and black, lifeless eyes that do not reflect light, do not blink, do not express anything remotely human. Unlike the Anunnaki, who ruled openly as gods, or the Reptilians, who lurk behind power structures, the Greys do not bother with manipulation. They don't make deals. They don't seek worship. They simply take. They move in silence under the cover of night. They appear in bedrooms, in cars, on lonely stretches of road. They paralyze their victims. They remove them from time itself. And when the abductees wake up, the only things left behind are vivid nightmares, strange scars, and a deep, unsettling knowledge something happened. But they don't know what. Some call them explorers, others call them scientists. But perhaps the most chilling theory is that the Greys are not even alive in the way we understand life. A dying species or something else entirely. The Greys have no emotion, no culture, no individuality, no sense of joy, love, or even cruelty, only cold efficiency. They move with mechanical precision, as if their very consciousness is programmed rather than felt. It is as if they have engineered themselves into oblivion, stripping away the unnecessary functions of life, emotion, personality, even reproduction, until all that remains is pure, lifeless intellect. Many believe that the Greys are a dying species. Once, long ago, they may have been biological beings, much like us. But over time, as they advanced, they sought control over their evolution, eliminating disease, extending life, enhancing intelligence. They merged with technology, replacing their fragile organic bodies with cloned flesh, nanotechnology, and synthetic enhancements. They became immortal, but in doing so they made a fatal mistake. They lost something vital, something they didn't realize they needed. The soul. Whatever makes us truly alive, whatever gives us the spark of consciousness, it was drained from them centuries ago. And once they lost it, they couldn't get it back. They became a race of empty husks, highly advanced, but spiritually bankrupt. Their bodies do not age, but they also do not create new life. They are trapped in a slow extinction, one that cannot be reversed. And so the only way to survive was to steal what they had lost. The hybrid experiments, a desperate attempt to save themselves. This is why the Greys abduct humans. This is why they extract genetic material. This is why thousands of abductees, under hypnosis, have spoken of seeing hybrid children, pale, fragile beings with huge eyes, thin lips, and an eerie sense of familiarity. The Greys are not merely experimenting, they are fighting extinction. They believe that by merging their genetics with ours, they can create a new race, one that is biologically advanced, but still capable of reproduction, still capable of feeling, still capable of having a soul. Some abductees report seeing these hybrid children in underground facilities, watching them, trying to mimic human emotions, trying to smile, but not understanding how, trying to connect but unable to feel what we feel. But not all of them are failing. Some of these hybrids, according to experiencers, are perfecting the blend, and one day, they may walk among us, indistinguishable from regular humans. Would we even know? Or have they already integrated into our world? And if so, what is their purpose? Are they working alone? But what if the Greys aren't just acting in their own self-interest? What if they aren't the ones in charge? Some believe the Greys are not masters but servants, that they answer to a higher force, one far older, far more powerful, and far more sinister. The Reptilians. The Grey-Reptilian connection. Are they hiding underground? Many abductees claim that after being taken aboard Grey ships, they are sometimes brought deeper underground, into massive subterranean facilities. And it is there that they see something unexpected. The Greys are not alone. They are accompanied by tall reptilian humanoids, cold, powerful, and watching from the shadows. Some whistleblowers, former military insiders, government defectors, and secret intelligence operatives claim that beneath military bases like Area 51 and Dulce, New Mexico, entire underground cities exist where reptilians and Greys work together. The Greys carry out the experiments. The reptilians enforce order. But why? Some believe the Greys are the scientists, the biological engineers tasked with maintaining the genetic programs. The reptilians, however, are something else entirely. They are the rulers, the overlords. They keep the Greys in line, much in the same way they keep us in line. Because if the Greys desperately need our DNA, then maybe the reptilians need something even more valuable. Maybe they need our energy, our fear, our pain, our suffering, the very emotions that Greys can no longer feel, but reptilians crave. And so the two species work in tandem, one harvesting DNA, the other harvesting fear. Final questions. What are they planning? If the Greys truly need us to survive, what happens when they succeed? If they perfect their hybrids, will they simply disappear into history? Or will they replace us? And if the reptilians control them, Then what happens when their experiment is complete? Are they planning to integrate into human society? Or are they preparing for something far more sinister? A reset? A purge? A takeover? One thing is certain. We are not alone. We never were. And the Greys, cold, lifeless, robotic, desperate, are not here to help us. They are here because they need us. The question is, what happens when they no longer do? Chapter 3. The Reptilians, Rulers from the Shadows. There is a chilling theory, one that lurks at the edges of ancient mythology, whispered by conspiracy theorists, hidden in the symbolism of secret societies, and eerily hinted at in religious texts. What if the true rulers of this planet are not human? What if those in power, presidents, prime ministers, kings, CEOs, and high-ranking officials, are not born into power, but placed into power? And what if the world's conflicts, the cycles of war, the constant state of division and fear, are not mistakes, but deliberate? Because, according to some, there exists a species older than humanity, older than civilization itself, a species that has never relinquished control, a species that lives among us unseen. They are the Reptilians, and if the legends are true, they are masters of deception. The ancient serpent, kings, evidence from myths and religions. The story of serpent beings ruling over mankind is not new. In fact, it's one of the oldest and most widespread myths in human history. The Nagas of Hindu and Buddhist traditions were said to be serpent-like beings who lived underground and had supernatural powers. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god of the Aztecs, was depicted as a divine ruler who came from the stars. The Chinese dragon kings were believed to control the elements and rule over human affairs from behind the scenes. In the Bible, the serpent in the Garden of Eden wasn't just an animal. It was an entity with intelligence, speech, and a plan to manipulate humanity's destiny. The Anunnaki, from Sumerian mythology, were often depicted with reptilian features, suggesting that at least some of them were not what we would consider human. Could these stories be cultural remnants of an ancient truth? Could our ancestors have encountered beings that did not look like us? Beings with reptilian traits, extraordinary abilities, and an agenda? And if so, where did they go? The terrifying answer? They never left. They simply became better at hiding. Shape-shifting, the art of deception. One of the most chilling aspects of the reptilian theory is the claim that they can shapeshift, disguising themselves as humans, blending in, taking positions of power and influencing events without ever being detected. This isn't science fiction. Many abductees, mystics, and even whistleblowers from secret societies claim that reptilians are not fully physical beings. They exist in a state between dimensions, meaning they can shift between their true form and a human disguise at will. Some describe their transformation as a glitch in reality, a momentary slip where their human features momentarily flicker, revealing scaly skin, slit-pupiled eyes, and clawed hands before snapping back into human form. There have been countless eyewitness reports of politicians, celebrities, and members of elite bloodlines exhibiting strange physical anomalies, eyes shifting into slits for brief moments, limbs appearing too long, or movements that seem inhumanly quick and calculated. Is this just an illusion? A camera trick? A simple glitch in lighting? Or is it evidence of something we were never meant to see? Some researchers believe that reptilians use a combination of genetic manipulation, psychic influence, and technology to maintain their human disguises, ensuring that the general population remains unaware of their presence. And those who do notice? They are silenced, ridiculed, or worse. Psychic domination, control without chains. Unlike humans, who rely on speech, deception, and physical force to control one another, reptilians are said to possess psychic abilities so powerful that they can influence the thoughts, emotions, and decisions of those around them. This is what makes them unstoppable rulers. They don't need elections. They don't need armies. They only need your mind. According to sources like David Icke and whistleblowers from secret intelligence agencies, reptilians can manipulate emotions, making humans feel fear, anger, or despair on command, plant thoughts, guiding people towards self-destructive decisions without them ever realizing they were influenced, create illusions, making people see things that aren't there or not see things that are right in front of them, harvest energy, feeding off negative human emotions like anxiety, suffering, and division. This is why the world always feels like it's on the brink of disaster, why war never ends, why there is always a new crisis, a new enemy, A new fear campaign keeping people trapped in a constant state of stress and hopelessness. Because they feed off that energy. And every time you fear, every time you hate, every time you despair, you are giving them exactly what they need. This is why wars are fought for resources that are already abundant. This is why society is kept divided, by race, by politics, by gender, by religion, when unity would make us unstoppable. This is why people who rise to expose them, whistleblowers, truth seekers, independent thinkers, are erased, discredited, or turned into public villains. Because the greatest trick the reptilians ever pulled was making humanity believe we are free. Secret societies and the bloodlines of control. If the reptilians truly control the world, how do they maintain their grip on power? They do it through bloodlines, ancient elite families who have ruled the world for centuries, passing down knowledge and power only to their own kind. This is why the world's most powerful families, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the British royal family, the Vatican elite, and countless political dynasties, all intermarry, ensuring their DNA stays within certain bloodlines. It is believed that these families are either hybrids or directly serve the reptilian agenda, acting as their earthly agents to keep the world trapped in a cycle of control. They operate in secret societies like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Bilderberg Group, the Bohemian Grove elite. These groups perform rituals, engage in occult practices, and ensure that the general population remains blind to the true power structure that runs our world. And if anyone dares to expose them, they are silenced. Because if humanity ever woke up and realized the true enemy isn't our neighbors, our political rivals, or the people who look different from us, but the ones in the shadows, pulling the strings, the game would be over. And they know it. Final thoughts. Can we break free? The question is, are we too far gone? Have the reptilians already won? Or can humanity break the cycle? Because if this theory is true, if our rulers, our leaders, our global elite are not human, then what does that mean for our future? What happens when we finally see the cage we were born into? And more importantly, what happens when we refuse to obey? Chapter 4. The Benevolent Watchers, the alien species, here to help us. For centuries we have been told that Earth is a battleground, that forces beyond our understanding, reptilians, greys, and shadowy elite bloodlines, have enslaved humanity in a prison without walls. But what if we are not alone in this fight? What if, beyond the illusion of control, beyond the fear and manipulation, there are others watching over us? What if there are ancient cosmic allies, beings of higher consciousness, who have been guiding us, protecting us, and preparing us for a moment that is now upon us? And what if the recent surge in UAP activity, government disclosures, and an undeniable shift in collective human consciousness is not a coincidence, but a signal that these benevolent forces are finally making their move? The battle for Earth is not just a war of technology, power, or physical control. It is a war of consciousness. And in this war, not all extraterrestrials are our enemies, because some are here to set us free. The Pleiadians, messengers of light and DNA activation. The Pleiadians, often depicted as tall, Nordic-like beings with piercing blue eyes and flowing golden hair, are said to be one of the oldest and most benevolent extraterrestrial races involved in Earth's awakening. Originating from the Pleiades star cluster, they are not just intergalactic travelers. They are our genetic relatives. According to ancient records and modern-day channelers, the Pleiadians played a crucial role in seeding early human civilizations, gifting us advanced knowledge, spiritual wisdom, and a connection to the cosmos that has since been severed by malevolent forces. But their mission did not end in the past. Many believe that the Pleiadians continue to communicate with certain humans, activating latent DNA, unlocking memories of our cosmic heritage, and urging us to reclaim our lost potential. The concept of starseeds, humans who feel an inexplicable connection to the stars, who have an inner calling to awaken and uplift humanity, is often linked to the Pleiadians. They are believed to be sending messages through dreams, synchronicities, and direct telepathic transmissions, reminding us of who we truly are before the veil was placed over our consciousness. And as humanity awakens, as more people begin questioning the structures of control, as UAP activity increases, the Pleiadians are making their presence known. The question is, are we ready to listen? The Andromedans, masters of interdimensional freedom. Then there are the Andromedans, an advanced, highly evolved race from the Andromeda galaxy, said to be fighting against the tyranny of the reptilian and gray agenda across multiple star systems. Unlike the Pleiadians, who focus on spiritual awakening, the Andromedans are warriors of liberation, experts in breaking down enslavement systems that have entrapped lesser evolved species for eons. They are said to operate in higher dimensions, existing outside of linear time, and are capable of bending space, time, and reality itself. Some say they are the true architects behind the recent UAP disclosures, pressuring governments to reveal the truth before the window of opportunity closes. They believe that Earth is at a breaking point, a tipping point between a future of total control, where humanity is permanently enslaved under the reptilian power structure, or a future of enlightenment, where we awaken to our multidimensional potential and step into galactic citizenship. And the Andromedans are doing everything in their power to tilt the scales in our favor. They are sending downloads of information, appearing in deep meditative states, and revealing themselves to those ready to receive their messages. And most importantly, they are actively fighting the darker forces on our behalf. The Lyrans, our original ancestors. But where did humanity truly originate? Some say it wasn't Earth. It wasn't even the Pleiades. It was Lyra. The Lyrans, a highly advanced humanoid race, often described as feline-featured or leonine, are believed to be the original seed race of humanity before a galactic war forced them to scatter across the cosmos. Legends speak of a time when the Lyrans were hunted down by a reptilian empire, their homeworlds destroyed, their civilizations wiped out, and their survivors forced into exile. Some of these refugees made their way to the Pleiades, some to Andromeda, and some, it is said, to Earth. This would mean that humans are not native to this planet. We are the descendants of an ancient interstellar race, one that was forced to forget its true power. And the Reptilians, the very ones who enslave us now, were the same ones who destroyed our homeworld long ago. If this is true, then humanity's awakening is more than just a planetary event. It is a return to what we once were. And the Lyrans, scattered across the cosmos, are said to be watching, waiting for the moment when we are ready to reclaim our lost heritage. The connection to recent UAP activity: is disclosure imminent? The question we must ask now is, if these benevolent alien species have been watching us for so long, why are they making themselves known now? Why is UAP activity suddenly increasing? Why are governments, after decades of silence, finally admitting that something is in the sky they cannot explain? The answer? We are running out of time. The reptilian agenda, the system of total surveillance, transhumanist control, and fear-based manipulation, is reaching its endgame. And the beings who have been guiding us from afar, the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, the Lyrans, know that if we do not break free now, we may never get another chance. Some believe that recent UAP sightings are not random. They are deliberate interventions intended to shake humanity awake. Others believe that soon, these extraterrestrial allies will begin making direct contact, revealing themselves not to governments, but to the people. Because the battle is no longer one of secrecy versus exposure. It is now a battle of who controls the narrative. Will we be told that these are hostile invaders, that the only way to stay safe is to hand more power over to global authorities? Or will we realize the truth, that these beings are here to help us break free, that they have been waiting for us to step into our own power, that the war for Earth has always been about one thing: whether we choose to remain slaves or reclaim our freedom. And now, at this very moment, we are standing at the threshold. The choice is ours. Will we awaken? Or will we let the Reptilians and their minions lock the final chain around our minds? Because disclosure is coming. And when the truth is revealed, it will change everything.